month's inspired insights. Hop in, join in, grab a nice sip of whatever you're sipping on, and join us because today we're talking about how to take back control of your life. I think a lot of us saw that there was a meme or GIF, or not a GIF, but a meme or something similar floating on the internet recently, within the last year at least. And it was someone who, it said something about like the most relatable email. And the woman wrote, like, I'm sorry, I lost control of the day. And I think that happens to the best of us. But sometimes we really can feel like we've completely lost control of our life. And how can we get back control? So that's what today's live is talking about, how we can take back control of our life. So two of the first, very most important steps, or two steps in part of this process, are setting goals and creating boundaries. So this is not going to be your traditional talk about setting goals and everything like that, because just to preview, I want to talk to you about these two things and then go into how I took back control of my life and how I set myself up for success, that I'm also most efficient and most effective. So let's get into it. Setting goals, goal setting with accountability. So it's not just goal setting, it's goal setting with accountability. When you set goals and you do so in a way that you're held accountable, this is how you actually get them done. So what I do is in the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the year, week, I set my goals. And it's an easy way for me to work back. So I set my yearly goals. These are things that I check in on once a month, and I create new goals. And then I break it down into bite-sized portions during the week. And I do this also with accountability. How do I hold myself accountable? I hold myself accountable in two ways. One way is through myself. I think a lot of us out there, we talked about this self-help last time. A lot of us out there, we're very not self-focused, but we believe we can do it all ourselves and we can be self-motivated. Some of us are not. But I'm one of those people for a very long, like, I didn't really need people pushing me. I would push myself. So one of the ways that I hold myself accountable is with my planner. And my planner, which I actually write myself, I have a separate planner with the month, where that's all written out for me. But in there, I write my monthly goals, I write my weekly goals, and when I am creating my day, which is a process I'll talk about later, that's also how I hold myself accountable. So this is one area of holding yourself accountable, where you write things down and then you follow up on it and you make sure that you're following in alignment with that. The other way to hold yourself accountable is you share these goals with people that will hold you accountable. So I have certain people that I share certain goals with, and I know that they will hold me accountable, because when I'm going to meet with them the next time, I want to be able to say, because I know they're going to check in on them, and I want to be able to say, I've accomplished this and this towards that goal or whatever. Because when we have someone that we're checking in with, it's kind of like an insurance system. Yes, you have self-discipline, but when you're checking in with other people that are also going to hold you accountable, this is like that extra safety net to make sure that you are actually hitting those goals and targets that you want to. And this is part of taking back control of your life, because you can't, if you don't have goals and you don't have some sort of framework for your life, and you're not setting yourself up for success in that way, you're essentially like a cork bobbing in the ocean, and you can be taken anywhere where the tide moves you. And time is something that all of us can never get back. Time goes, I remember hearing it when I was younger, but time seems to be going faster and faster and faster. So, that time is the one thing that we really can't control. But on the other hand, we can be mindful about how we are using our own efforts toward in time. I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but it's done. So the next important component is setting boundaries. And we had a whole live on setting boundaries previously. So if you want to look into it, please go to that one, because we're not going to go into it in depth. But generally, if you don't have boundaries in place, you have no parameters. So if you feel like your schedule is controlling you, that means you have no boundaries with your schedule. One important or amazing tip that I can offer, if you feel like your schedule has complete control over you, is to start integrating something called time blocking. And time blocking essentially is you consciously create days and times for accomplishing certain tasks. And when you're doing that, you're in that task. Now, you're probably not going to be able to, for example, say you only want to take meetings on a Thursday and you want to save Friday for working on your business, or you want to save Friday for um, catching up on things that you weren't able to accomplish during the week, or and Mondays, for example, are set for, I don't know, writing motions, however you want to spread it out. You set these time, you create these like little packages of time where you're spending only those efforts on that specific time. You're not being interrupted. Or, for example, you can even create a certain time block where you can be interrupted, but whatever it is that you're in that task, only in that task. Because when we're not creating these boundaries within our time, an email will pop in, a call will come, and you're being ripped away from whatever you're doing, and you cannot fully commit yourself to whatever you're working on, and it'll take longer. It's not going to be as good as it could be because you're being ripped out and you can't fully commit to whatever it is and fully think things through. So creating time blocking is an incredible habit to integrate, and maybe it's not going to be perfect all the time. And also it's going to take some time to integrate. Lots of time today. If somebody does a counter on how many times they say time in this live, let me know. Anyway, so it's not going to be perfect right away when you start integrating it. It might be a little messy, but start moving towards like creating those specific blocks of time where you're doing something and having a nice rhythm to it, like say setting certain days and afternoons or mornings for certain tasks that'll help you get more organized. And of course, create a backup plan, because we're not going to be always able to adhere to that as much as we'd like to adhere to that schedule. It's not always going to work that way. So instead of being completely disoriented the moment that your perfectly laid out plan is disrupted, create a backup plan. So say, for example, things cannot work out on that day or time, or something needs to be moved or whatever. You create a backup plan for how it'll still work for you and that you're not totally completely thrown off. And so another way I create boundaries is by creating my day. So I create my day very consciously every morning. And I will preface and say that, yes, I don't have a family yet. So my time is pretty much how I have a little more freedom in terms of like how I create my day. But this is what works for me, and this is how I've taken control of my life. So you could take whatever feedback you want and integrate it to yourself. Because I find when we set ourselves up, it starts first thing you wake up in the morning. If when you wake up in the morning, you hit snooze opposed to getting up right away, that will affect the course of the rest of your day. You want to be able to do some of the hardest stuff first and kind of set the tone for yourself and setting yourself up for the rest of the day. And by getting up the moment your alarm clock rings, you've already said yes to one commitment that you made for yourself. The night before, or if you have an alarm that goes off the same time, you made a commitment to yourself to get up at a certain time. By you hitting snooze, you're pushing off that commitment, and then it makes it that much easier to not adhere to whatever you set up for yourself the rest of the day. So this will play in also to one of the other tips that I'm going to integrate later on. But yeah, so it starts first thing when you wake up in the morning. For me, I wake up in the morning and then I create my day. I start my day off every single day. I never miss it, is a meditation. And sometimes maybe the meditation won't be as long because like some days I really just don't have as much time as I usually have in the morning for the time that I've created for myself. And maybe you're not going to be able to do your full routine, but For me, my medi is a non-negotiable. I do my meditation every single morning, and that clears my mind. It helps me kind of sort of clear my cache. And it's interesting when you're sitting there, all these things kind of like pop up. And sometimes I work through things. Other times I really just allow myself to sit. And then for me, after that, I do a little bit of reading, like maybe like a little portion of a book or a chapter. It just really depends how much time I have, but usually it's just a section of whatever I'm reading at the time. And then I write, and I write in multiple ways. So depending on the time that I have, I've started entering like small sections in a journal, just kind of clearing my mind of things that maybe came up in my medi, or just getting things off my chest or whatever, or even just to say, I think it's a beautiful day. So writing is really, really helpful just for clearing your mind. Second thing, another tool that has really helped me and has just kind of changed things for me in a sense is writing questions. The beautiful thing about our minds is that when we pose questions, our mind finds ways to answer them, or maybe our minds conspire with the universe to answer them. Either way, I'm telling you, this works and it's incredible. So I'll write a list of questions that I have in the morning. So in the morning, sometimes I can write like, how am I going to achieve this? I can write things that are on my mind, or how can I be the best? How can I be the best sister? How can I be the best friend? How am I an inspiring thought leader? These are just different questions that I ask. I even ask myself questions like, how am I fully embracing all the love that the universe has in store for me, or God, or however you want to put it? You can ask these questions in any way you want and however you want to ask them, but the mind finds amazing ways to answer them. And so in that question phase, I ask also questions on things that are weighing on me, things that I'm working out, like even something that maybe as simple as like, what service should I go with? These things seem to work themselves out, and it really helps me. So then one of the most integral parts of this live and parts of my planning my day is my create my day process. And so how do I create my day? I'm conscious in that moment. I look at my week that I have set forth and the month. I see the goals that I set out for myself, and I look at my calendar of what I have going on that day. And then I'm intentional about how I plan my day. This is kind of based a little bit loosely off a process that I learned from Esther Hicks, and it's called the placemat process. For me, I integrate the divine into my morning routine, and essentially I have a blank notebook, and I could show you guys actually because I have it next to me, but I won't show you exactly what I have on there. So I have a blank notebook, and then on the blank notebook, one of the first things that I write on there is I write the day, because for me, I write the day. And then I have an affirmation for every day. You don't need this. And then I have like a little top bar where I put a little check mark for meditation. And then the middle, depending on if it's my workout day or my self-care day, I put a little check mark there. And then I always add like a little check mark for fun. See, right there. And so then I have 3 different columns. You could have 2, however you want to do it, but I have a column for professional me. I have a middle column for God, the divine, however you want to put it. And then on the other side, I have a column for personal me. And then so on the professional me, I have all the things that all my goals for the day, the things that I'm accomplishing. If, for example, I have a call with someone, or I have a meeting or a client meeting, whatever it is, I'll write those there. But then in the middle column, and this is the cool part, in the middle column, I kind of like give things up and ask for help. So for example, when I have meetings, client meetings, networking meetings, whatever meetings I have, I most always will put a little line to the middle, and I'll say, please allow this meeting to happen, to take place if it's for our mutual highest good, and let me show up at my highest self. And I'll just kind of like place things over there and ask for help in different ways if I'm chewing on things. But this is a process that really helps me. And then also on the personal side, it helps me also balance it out, because so often we're just so focused on the business and not the personal. So it helps me kind of like bring in also my own personal goals back into it. And then at the end of it, I always write a list of 3 things that I'm grateful for. Sometimes even at the bottom of that page, I'll write it out. I'll write like a dream I had, or just leave it for like some random notes that come up while you're doing it. But now that I've created my day, and this is like this is something that I honestly don't always want to do, but I've gotten in the habit of doing it, and it sets me up for success. Then I keep this out all day, and it keeps me focused. It keeps me making sure that I do all the things that I need to get done. But now this is where an integral component comes up. I tackle now the tasks that I least want to do, and the ones that I know that are going to push me that much further. Just like not hitting the snooze button and getting up right when your alarm goes off, by doing the thing that you least want to do that's going to make the most amount of impact, once you've gotten that done, everything else on your day is easy peasy. It's so simple to do. You can slide through the day, and you've already felt like such a moment of accomplishment that I'm telling you, it just makes things so much easier for you, and you can gain momentum. And we just love to check things off. Like, that's just, I heard something recently, and it was like, he was my Monday motivator last week, Bori Vaden, and he was talking about how people sometimes will add things to their list to check it off, things that they did. And I definitely do that. If I do extra things on there, I'll throw it on the list and write a little check mark. But generally, I have this list for myself, and then I check things off. And then if I do extra things, then I can put it on there. One thing that another tip that I will add for this process, and this may help other people who necessarily don't want to be as not stuck, but as tied to like a full process. And this is also another Esther Hicks thing, so I can't take full credit for this, but I'm just sharing the wisdom, is you can create your goals. You can write down on a piece of paper all the things that you're hoping to accomplish and working on or whatever. And every day is not going to set you up for, we did a live a while ago on taking and being where you're at today. And maybe today is not the best day for you to do whatever like you had originally set forth, and you have the flexibility not to do that. Having this little essentially paper where all the things that you're trying to work on are there, and you circle them. And then when you can look at it on when you're planning your day, and you look at it, you're like, okay, what can I accomplish today? And you look at it and you're feeling that, put it on your list. And then when you're done, you just color it out and you're like, I did it, done. So when we have this, and especially if we start our Mondays off like this, the rest of your week, I'm telling you, is going to be completely different, because it'll just snowball. You'll build the momentum, and it'll carry you through the rest of the week. Being able to take back control of your life really means knowing what you want and consciously working towards it, and not allowing yourself to be a cork bobbing in the ocean. So I know I just gave you guys a lot of information, but I would love to hear from you if were there any particular tips that were more helpful than not. I hope that you're able to use this information and take back control of your life, because, I say this often, not every day is granted to us. I'm so happy and grateful that I get the chance to be here to speak with you guys, and that I'm able to live this life that I've been given. Every day is really a gift, and I don't want to waste any of the days that I have on this planet, because we don't know what our time cycle is. But I want to be able to do as much as I can and live the life that I want to live, and that helps by us also beginning with the end in mind. And that is a really important thing. When you have the end in mind, you know what your goals are to get there, and then you can work backwards. And can't be too strict about it, because you got to also allow life to kind of do its thing. But if we have a framework and we work towards it, this can help us keep control, because there's nothing worse like feeling like you're off the rails and you're just hanging on for dear life. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys spending every second with me here, and I am sending you luck, helping you take back control of your life, and however I can assist you, I'm here. Take care, guys.